Hello everyone, my name is Alfian Nur Fauzi and now I will analyze the text for the reading final project. Yes, my study number is 240, 2033, 00, and 77. Okay, and the final project of reading is I choose three of texts that I will analyze. The first text I choose is the narrative text, and the second one is report text. The last one or the third one is procedure text. Okay, let's move on into the first text I choose. The first text I choose is a narrative text. So, what is a narrative text? Narrative text is also known as a narrative, is a form of writing that tells a story, recounting events in a chronological order, often with characters, settings, and a plot. It's a way to share experiences, imagine scenarios, or present a sequence of events, and it can be either fiction or non-fiction. Okay, the narrative text has a four generic structure. The first one is orientation, the second one is complication, the third one is resolution, and the last one, or the optional one, is reorientation or closing statement. Language feature is used on this narrative text is past tense, action verb, adverb and adverbial phrases, direct and indirect speech, and the last one is descriptive language. So this is example of the narrative text. My example is the story of bawang merah and bawang putih. Once upon a time, there lived a happy family. The family was blessed with a beautiful daughter. They named her Bawang Putih. But one day, Bawang Putih's mother fell ill and eventually died. After that incident, Bawang Putih only lived with her father. Her father was a trader. He often traveled far to sell his merchandise. Over time, he could not bear to leave Bawang Putih alone at home. In the end, he decided to remarry a widow who had one child whom he named Bawang Merah. From now on, Bawang Putih has a stepmother and stepsister. She is very happy because she has a new family. However, the happiness was only momentary. Bawang Merah and her stepmother were only sweet and gentle to Bawang Putih in front of her father. When her father went to trade, they treated Bawang Putih like a servant or even a slave at home. Bawang Putih's misfortune did not stop there. Not long after the death of her biological mother, her father also experienced the same illness and eventually died. After the death of her father, her stepmother and Bawang Merah became even more cruel to Bawang Putih. All the housework without exception was forced to be done by Bawang Putih alone. Even cruelly, her stepmother hardly gave her time to rest. She was forced to serve her stepmother and her sister every day. One day, Bawang Putih was washing clothes on the river bank. She accidentally washed away one of her sister's shawls. When she got home, she was scolded by her sister and forced to look for the washed away shawl. Bawang Putih was not allowed to go home before the shawl she washed away was found. Bawang Putih then searched following the river until late at night to look for the washed away shawl. In the middle of the search, she saw an old hut. She then approached the old hut. The old hut was inhabited by an old grandmother who lived alone. Bawang Putih asked permission to stay overnight in the old grandmother's house. The grandmother invited Bawang Putih to stay in her hut. The grandmother asked Bawang Putih how she got here and why she was here so late at night. Bawang Putih told her story with her stepmother and her sister Bawang Merah. Hearing Bawang Putih's story, the grand felt sorry and told her that the shawl she was looking for was actually found by the grandmother. However, the grandmother only wanted to hand over the shawl if Bawang Putih would accompany her for a week. Bawang Putih also agreed to the condition given by the grandmother. A week has passed, and now it's time for Bang Putih to return home. While living with her grandmother, Bang Putih was very diligent. The grandmother gave her the soul and gave Bang Putih a gift. She was asked to choose one of the pumpkins from her grandmother's garden to take home. At first, Bang Putih refused, but because she wanted to respect her grandmother's gift, she chose a small pumpkin because she was afraid she wouldn't be able to carry the big one. The grandmother smiled when she heard Bang Putih's reasons. Bang Putih rushed home to give the shawl to her sister. When she got home, she rushed to the kitchen to cut the pumpkin and cook it. How surprised she was after finding out that the contents of the pumpkins were a lot of gold and jewels. It turned out that her mother and older sister saw the incident and immediately seized the item from the Bang Putih. Then they forced Bang Putih to tell where she got the magic pumpkin. Hearing the story from Bang Putih, the mother forced Bang Merah to do the same thing, hoping to get a bigger pumpkin containing more gems. Long story short, Bang Merah arrived at the grandmother's house and he stayed there for a week. However, because of her lazy nature, she just lays around and didn't help her grandmother's work at all. When it was time to go home, without thinking, she chose the big pumpkin and took it away without saying thank you. When they arrived home, because they were afraid that Bang Putih will ask for a share, they told Bang Putih to wash in the river. Then they went into a room and locked the door tightly. Unexpectedly, when the pumpkin was cut open, it turned out that the incinta was a poisonous animal. The pumpkin contained scorpions, snakes, and centipedes. This animal then bit them to death. The moral message that can be taken from this folk tale is that people who do evil and greedy things will get their due reward. However, every good deed will get good result too. This fairy tale also teaches children not to be lazy and to try to face everything happily, in addition to say thank you for the kindness given by the elders. Okay, the next one is let's analyze the text of this narrative text. The first analyze is purpose of the text. The purpose of the text Bawang Merah and Bawang Putih is to entertain readers with a traditional folktale while also teaching a moral lesson. Through the story of Bawang Putih kindness and Bawang Merah's greed, the text highlights that good behavior, hard work, and gratitude will be rewarded, whereas laziness, cruelty, and greed will lead to negative consequences. It reflects the main goal of narrative text, which is to both amuse and convey important values. And the next one is generic structure. The first generic structure of this text is orientation. Orientation is introduced the main characters Bawang Putih, her father, stepmother, and Bawang Merah, and the setting long ago, and the initial happy situation, which is on paragraph 1 in the text. The next generic structure is the complication. The problem begins after her mother dies and Bawang Putih is mistreated by her stepmother and stepsister. The conflict grows when she loses the soul, which is in paragraph 2 to 4 on the text. And the next generic structure is resolution. Bawang Putih is rewarded for her kindness and hard work, while Bawang Merah and her mother suffer a tragic consequence due to their greed and laziness, which is on paragraph 5 to 6 in the text. Now, the last generic structure is reorientation, or the moral lessons. Concludes the story with a moral lessons, which is on paragraph 7 in the text. Okay, the next one or the last one is the language feature of the text. The first one, the text is used past tense. The past tense from the text is the example, once upon a time there lived and she told her story. The next language feature is action verb. The example from the text is watch, scolded, cut, seized, and beat. And the next one is adverb and adverbial phrases. The example from the text is at home, late at night, and every day. The next language feature of the text is direct and indirect speech. For the direct speech is the grandmother says, and indirect Bawang Putih told her story. And the last language feature from the text is descriptive language. The example from the text is she was forced to serve her stepmother and her sister every day. And the pumpkin contains scorpions, snakes, and centipedes. So that's my analysis for the narrative text. Thank you.